while at the same time receiving personalized journeys and deals to complement your interests and needs. So this festive season, Loop is your ultimate plug for all your shopping needs. So through the Loop Shopping Festival, which is ongoing in various malls and is coming to a mall near you. Where are you? There's a mall. It's there. Loop will get you covered with incredible deals from a wide range of merchants, including Hotpoint, Quick Mart, Bata, Talent Carpet Center, Java, Bountiful Safaris, Oppo, Linton's, Mook, Simbisa, Chicken Inn, Galitos, Creamy Inn, Pizza Inn, Shell, Phone Express, Lifestyle Hubs, amongst others. So you want to Loop it this festive season. All these incredible and amazing deals to cater for all your needs at the Loop Shopping Festival. You get incredible deals and offers, plus you get 10% cash back of up to 5,000 shillings at participating partners when you spend 2,000 shillings and above, and you pay with the Loop app or card. So, have you installed the app yet? It's about time you do it, because this season you can win with Loop. Download the app on your Apple Store or Google Play Store and touch on the Discover button and enjoy fantastic, amazing deals. Why wait when you can Loop it? Loop it in the skies as well, CT. Where are you flying to this season?
Well, it depends. If you really want to enjoy diversity and choices, then you look no further than Emirates. And not just Emirates business class. Because from Nairobi, you have a choice of 140 destinations. Yes. Just as a starter.
Okay.
Now, if you have determined where it is you want to go, well, what happens is this. There's a starting point, and then there's a journey to the airport. Limousine service.
Nice.
There is boarding the flight and being told, sit over there. Now, the over there doesn't just come with the seat. It comes with a seat that gives you the option of sleeping. The over there doesn't just mean once you've sat there and you're determined whether you should sleep or not, that's the beginning and the end of it. You have choices of what it is you want to eat. And I say choices, man, are they choices? And then what it is you want to accompany the food with. Again, choices galore. What is you want to do? Do you want to work? Do you want to be entertained? Again, my goodness, you'll be spoiled for choice. Now, the English language is a lovely language when it comes to describing these things. When it comes to keeping company with those whom you may be flying with, well, the lounge doesn't just exist on the ground. It exists 40,000 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can chit-chat and do whatever it is that people do and they're talking about, whatever it is they're talking about. When you land at your destination, again, limousine service to your destination. Fresh, rested, entertained, fed. Emirates business class.
City, and I'd add jet lag onge.
There you go. So if you're traveling this season, that is who you definitely need to be traveling with. Our guest this hour is Alex Muniere, and he is the Chief Disability Services Officer at the National Council of People Living with Disabilities. He's our guest this hour, and we're looking at 20 years of disability inclusion in Kenya. Alex, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you.
You're in the hot seat.
It looks very good.
Yes.
It looks wonderful.
Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And even as we get into that, KCB Foundation is doing some amazing things in terms of youth. When we're talking about inclusion, in terms of youth inclusion, in terms of employment, and just really where you need to be focusing some attention when it comes to that.
Yes, and KCB has recognized that millions of Kenyans get into the job market every year, and we're talking about the youth age between 18 to 34. Therefore, KCB gets in to ensure that these crop of young people that get into the market are skilled and they're ready for the market, and they're doing that by ensuring that they are sponsoring these students in technical training institutions, TVETs, and making sure that they are ready and upskill them to attain the needs leader certification. Now, KCB as well is ensuring that this program incubates the enterprises created by these students by offering them business development. Now, when the graduates are ready for the market, what do? Now, their ideas are vetted and for bankability, and they receive credit they qualify for and advance their business interest. Now, this is also a point where KCB Foundation exits and the bank enters to support the business. So KCB recognizes unemployment. What do? Get into improve on your skill. You get out of this training, and they ensure that they not only give you the tool so that you start your business, but they add that by giving you loan facilities so that you can continue. And to get this information, where do you go to? You go to kcbgroup.com/foundation.
And one thing they didn't tell you is that they are sponsoring 2 students in every county, students with disabilities. Every county, they give them scholarship, full scholarship. From secondary school to university.
Now, this is a good thing we invited you here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because we now have information we didn't have.
That's it.
Amazing. So how about we welcome you in real situation room style, and CT here, I don't know how he does it, but every week rather, he goes to a different African country. And so then every day he gives us a proverb from this country that he's chosen for the week. And he tells us that proverb, and then we would like you to tell us what you hear in that proverb and how you would interpret it. Is that all right? We're really giving you work. We're giving you work to do. No rest.
Okay.
We are in the Republic of Angola. Angola is a country in the western central region of Africa. It's interesting. Very interesting country. There's 37.2 million people. And growing. A very interesting country indeed. The capital is Luanda, and they have many proverbs. And the proverbs are actually, when I look at the array of proverbs, when I was researching into it, some are outrightly hilarious and extremely informative. And one such proverb is the one we have for today. A covered mouth will not have flies.
A covered mouth
will not have flies.
Yes. That is very true, and I know that very well because I come from a community where we have a lot of flies. My community is the Maasai community, where the staple food is milk and meat. Now, in places where there is a lot of milk, you'd expect a lot of cows, and you'd expect a lot of flies flying around looking for anything to eat. And it is true that a covered mouth would not attract any single fly because they are outside the mouth. And if you open your mouth, they will get in. And you know what it means? When they get in, they would come with all their dirt.
Yeah.
They would come with all their blessings in quotes. And there you are. Yes.
There you go. So close your mouth.
Yes.
Okay, well.
Shut your mouth. Shut up.
Very simply put. Okay, so, I mean, Alex, obviously today we're looking at 20 years of disability inclusion.
Yes.
First of all, can we start off with what the council, it's National Council of Persons with Disability.
Yes.
What does the council do beyond representation?
Actually, per se, the council is the only government agency that is mandated by law to advise the government on issues of disability. So we are created by an act of parliament and the Disability Act 2003. Although the council started existing in 2004 when the late President Kibaki signed the disability bill into law. It was in 2004, but it is 2003. The act is read as 2003. And currently, as we talk, the act is being repealed and replaced by a new one. There is a new bill that has gone the stages of first stage and second stage, and we are hoping that it will sail into third stage, and by next year hopefully by March next year, when we break for Easter, the president will sign a new law governing persons with disabilities in the country. We are mandated to do all aspects of registration. We are mandated to do all aspects of disability advocacy, awareness and support. We do provide assistive devices. We do provide education. As I said, we partner with also other institutions, well-wishers, and KCB is one of the institutions that we have an MOU and a very good understanding that all bright students should not go uneducated, because KCB is coming up and sponsoring at least 2 students per every county. And they also not only provide school fees, we provide other supports like other needs of the children, of the students while in school. They provide them with their basic needs like soap and all the basic needs that a student needs while in school. Now, other than education, we also do the albinism support program, which by coincidence, I am the head of the albinism program in the country. And we provide sunscreen lotion to persons with albinism, all persons with albinism, regardless of your economic status. We give free sunscreen lotion. We also have another program that is well known to every Kenyan, every household, because we have the Inua Jamii program, where we give cash transfer to people with this time severe disabilities. But we thank the ministry, because the other day we had Disability Day, UN Day for Persons with Disabilities on 3rd of December. The Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Alfred Mutua, pronounced and said that it is now going forward that all persons with disabilities will be entitled to cash transfer, regardless of their economic status. There before, we used to have people who are needy receiving cash transfer. But this time round, I think it's going to be like aged elderly person. It's just everybody who attains a disability is going to get a cash transfer.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I want to stop on that point specifically, Alex, because one of the things that we talk about when we're looking across board, people living with disability, is that, and I remember Senator Crystal Asige says this all the time, that it is me, I am the one with it, and so the challenges are with me every day.
Yes.
So there are things that I may need to purchase in order to be able to fit within, right?
Sure.
So that's why a cash transfer makes sense for everybody living with a disability in the country.
Right.
My apprehension is, is there a proper mapping of the folks in this country who are living with disability? Do we know where they are, who they are? Is there an index? So that by the time we make such a pronouncement, which in its makeup is amazing, but are we able and ready to be able to throw the money behind it?
Now, can I ask you another question? When we did the cash transfer for the elderly, did we have such a data?
No, and it was a disaster. And I can give you an example. Just a few weeks ago, I was in Laikipia, and there are old men and women who sit and they're asking questions and they're saying, this money from that time. This is Laikipia. And from that time, we've never received
any single
1 shilling.
1 shilling, yes. What we think is that in the country, people with disabilities are regarded as second-class citizens. And you can see by that example in itself that there was a pronouncement for cash transfer for all elderly. Yet when it came to persons with disabilities, we now start putting stringent measures of knowing whether they are needy, whether they are mapped, whether they are wherever they are. Those issues come up because of we are thinking disability. So I would rather we think broad and we say if there is a cash transfer for all persons with elderly persons, then all persons with disabilities, and let us cross the river when we reach there.
Let me hold you
just to answer your question. Yes, indeed, yes, we have registered persons with disabilities in the country. We know the numbers. We know the census put us at not very good, but it was 2.2 million persons with in Kenya, living persons with disabilities, and we know that figure is disputed. Now, 2.2 translates to, if we have a population of 50 million, translates to a very low population, a very low percentage. But we know Kenya is a developing country, and we know in every developing country in the world, we have a population of 10% of any population to be persons with disabilities.
You know why I insist, Alex?
Yes.
And it still remains a question.
Right.
Because we undermine the importance of data and information. So then it becomes very easy for a cabinet secretary or anybody to make a pronouncement and say everybody should get money, which I think is amazing. Like I said, it is absolutely necessary. It is necessary. But can you imagine during COVID what happened when young people were offered jobs, right? Every young person come do what was the name of the program during COVID when young people were getting work to do?
Kazi kwa vijana.
Thank you. Kazi kwa vijana, right? There were people who were earning for work they did not do. There were chiefs who were taking money from the hands of people who were supposed to have done this work. It is an avenue, unfortunately, for people to take the money out of the hands of people living with disability who should have it and are not deserving. That is why I'm saying that the information and data is important, not
Very
just for people
important.
living with disability, not just for old people, not just for mothers who need maternity care.
Yes.
The data is very important. Otherwise, people know that if you don't have the numbers, they can't do anything.
And I agree with you.
I think I
agree.
just buttress what Ndu is saying. Even the data that we are asking about, it is so that the government that be or those that are responsible are able to budget, because they would give you, say, a budget of 1 billion shillings because that is what they think you deserve. Yet what you need is 2 billion shillings. But what will determine the budgeting of what comes to the people with disability is data.
I 100% agree with all of you that we need data when it is important, and that is why National Council is trying to do what we call mapping and registration, so that we can know exactly how many people with disabilities do we have in the country. That one, I agree with you 100%. But that should not be the impediment. The lack of data should not be the withholding factor for us to withhold this cash transfer in the pretext that we don't have data. But when we come to the elderly and and the vulnerable, we say yes, we are offering them regardless of data.
Okay.
That one, I think I disagree. But on the data aspect, I think I agree with you 100%. We need to know where these people are. And that is why we are doing registration and mapping all over. The other day we had asked persons with albinism to come up and register themselves and be mapped. And this is also ongoing. As part of the 20 years anniversary of disability inclusion, we are still going on with that exercise of mapping. If you go to the gazetted hospitals all over the country, they still do disability assessment. And that assessment is the one that we are telling our people to use to go and map themselves and register themselves online. This time it's very simplified. that once you get a disability assessment from the hospital, you online register yourself using the e-citizen platform. And that, I think, if we are told to bring the numbers, we have them on our fingertips. So the numbers should not be the kisababu. In Kiswahili they say kisababu. You say something is the reason why. No, the numbers should not be the reason. As much as we say the numbers are important.
Let me ask this question.
Yes.
We are talking about people with disabilities.
Right.
How is it determined? How is disability determined?
Okay. In Kenya, for you to be, for us to say that you have a disability, because disability is as a result of your inability to interact with the environment. And this environment may be physical, attitudinal, or even social, or whatever environment that you are not able to interact with alongside others, right? So, for example, if all of us are one-handed, and it happens that everybody in this room and in this country by extension is only one-handed, we don't have the other hand. So all of us would be one-handed. So if I don't have a hand, I only have one hand, I will not have a disability, because all of us, we all are equal. We don't have the other hand. But if all of us are two-handed, and I happen to be only having one hand, then it means I'm not favorably interacting with my environment as equal as you. So that has a disability comes in. And in Kenya, we depend, the National Council, I said we are the government advisor. We are the ones who advise the government on issues of disability. But we depend on the Ministry of Health for them to vet and ascertain the level and the degree of this lack of, right? They use a new guidelines to vet and categorize persons with disabilities in the country. And that report is the one that we use to register you as a person with disability. So it means some people may present themselves to the vetting panel of the Ministry of Health, and they may be told your threshold is 30%, 20%, for example. If your eyesight loss is 20% and mine is 35%, then it means you will not be registered, because the guideline says anybody below or above 30% eyesight loss is the one that is registered. We use that measure to register you. So we have several parameters that we use.
I like your definition. So someone is asking, so if someone is depressed or somebody has a mental condition,
Yes.
is that where now the hospital comes in and the health practitioners come in to determine whether this condition is debilitating? And if so, then that person could qualify as being disabled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, let me make it a little political. So if you have a group of people who make decisions on your behalf because, yes, you've elected them, and the decisions they make don't favor you, and it's consistent, year in, year out, the group that comes after them is slightly worse. So there is a disconnect between them and the people they're supposed to represent, and yet they're down to make decisions on behalf of these people who elected them. Could we then say that that group of people are disabled?
Yeah, in a way, yes, because they are making wrong decisions on some representation of some facts that are not there, or some facts that are there, then they are not represented well. Then, in a way, yes. But that is why now, as National Council, we use all aspects of, considerations before we arrive at a certain decision. We don't just go by our feelings or other people's feelings. we use documentation, and we trust. For example, if that case you've said of a mental handicapping condition, those people who are experts in that area would use their own technical expertise to ascertain your mental capability for them to give that report. And they give professional reports, and that is the report that is used to make a decision. So I want to believe people just don't wake up and decide. People, when they are making decisions, including us, we use laid down procedures, and you know, there are documents that we look at
and follow.
Yes.
Let's take a break on that point. We'll come back and continue with this, because then looking at 20 years of inclusion, what steps have actually been taken, what hurdles have been crossed, milestones achieved to make sure that we are living in an inclusive society. Alex Onyera is the Chief Disability Services Officer with the National Council of Persons with Disabilities. Let me remind you that the Loop Shopping Festival is actually taking place in various malls, and it's coming to a mall near you. Where are you? Is there a mall near you? Then the Loop Shopping Festival is taking place right there. You've covered with incredible deals from a wide range of merchants, including Hot Point, Quick Mart, Bata, the Tile and Carpet Center, Java, Creamy Inn, Pizza Inn, Shell, Phone Express, Lifestyle Hub, amongst others. With Loop, you enjoy the most affordable transaction rates in town across any channel. You make easy payments to other accounts or businesses. You pay all your bills easily and even set up automatic payments, and you get access to quick loans, overdrafts, and buy now, pay later solutions. Be sure to tune in to be able to find out how you will then be able to get access to all the Loop requirements. You need to download the app on your Google App Store or Google Play Store. Why wait when you can loop it?
Hii Krisi, sambaza furaha na Safaricom Business. Zidisha biashara yako na 25% off kwa business internet plans. Reliable internet ni key kwa biashara yako. Ukiwa na 5G speed na huduma za Safaricom Business, una hustle smarter, unawafikia wateja faster na kufanikisha mafanikio zaidi kazini. Dial *485# or visit www.business.safaricom.co.ke to subscribe.
Not considered for anything when it came to education, when it came to work, when it came to just being able to move around in society, being able to access certain things in society. What has been achieved from a council point of view, from a national point of view?
Indeed, we have had several achievements. One, since 20 years ago, issues of disability were discussed outside the government, and now there are fully fledged programs that are fully sponsored by the government that are targeting persons with disabilities. We've seen a lot of disability topics being discussed all over. We've seen the public waking up on issues of disability and including persons with disabilities in almost every aspect of representation. Although there are pockets of loopholes here and there, but we've seen even the government embracing the issue of representation. We have parliamentarians who are nominated to represent persons with disabilities. We have board members nominated on the platform of disability, and across board, we even have MCAs and all that. And even small boards like school boards, we've seen the Ministry of Education embracing disability and saying that out of the 9 board members, at least one person should be nominated to represent persons with disabilities, which is a huge gain on ourselves, because we believe that when things are discussed when we are there, we get to give our views. We get to give our, what we think on issues. And of course, you don't expect Tanzanians to sit and discuss about Tanzania, and a Kenyan is representing a Tanzanian in issues where the Tanzanians are discussing. So we say when things are being discussed and representation, we must be involved because we are part of the citizens of this country. Now, over and above that, we've seen other programs coming up, like what I said about Inua Jamii. We have the Inuka scholarships. We have the sunscreen lotions. All these were initiated in this span of 20 years. And we've seen mentorship even going a notch higher. There was a time in 2017 we had the leading candidate in KCPE being a candidate with albinism. And this to us was a huge gain and a huge milestone. We have seen people like Judge Mumbi Ngugi and other very notable people like Mwaura, the government spokesman, other disability representatives. During Uhuru's time, we saw Josepta Mukobe, who was a short stature or representing persons with disabilities, and all these representation. The other day we had a commissioner in the Ombudsman Commission called Commissioner Sati. He is a person with hearing impairment and using sign language, and it is huge. The conversation is moving towards where we would want it to be, but we are not yet there. Yes, because we still have pockets of misrepresentation. We still have people, and going back to his question, who are enjoying, and I didn't mention about tax exemption. We have a huge tax exemption for persons with disabilities. Those who are salaried up to 150,000 per month is exempted from taxation. If you have a disability, then you want to import a car or any other assistive device, because a vehicle is categorized in those assistive devices, you are exempted from paying duty. Now we have a big, huge category of people, Kenyans, we are Kenyans, who now do not have one hand. And documents, you look at documents vizuri, is a gentleman like what you are, but document, you don't have one hand, just because you want to access the services that are offered for persons with disabilities. The other day, our ED, by the way, he's Harun Hassan, EBS. He held somebody in his office who came to complain that he was not registered, simply because he was deaf and he could not even talk, and he was using sign language. So, and by his wisdom, our ED asked the guy, actually his phone rang, and he said, okay.
This guy who came to the office.
Yes, the phone rang.
Yeah.
And the guy was asked, please, can you switch off the phone and as we continue?
And he switched it
he switched it off.
Oh my goodness.
So the guy, he knew that the guy was just an imposter. And we have several imposters in this country, and this is what we are trying to do, and that is what has subjected a lot of persons with disabilities a lot of pain, because for you to access tax exemption, you go to the disability vetting I talked about, you are vetted, and then documents are sent to us, you are registered, and then you go to apply for tax exemption. Your documents are subjected to another vetting by KRA and us, and the Ministry of Health, and then you are vetted, and then we subject to a lot of rigorous checks. But still, Kenyans are ninani, or Kenya ninani. They still vet.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
The association that
National Council.
Yes, that you are part and parcel of, what is it that they have as a plan or as a policy to ensure that the support of those who are not living with any disability is made available to you? Because say I want to be part of that particular association. I do not have any known disability. Do I? Yeah, no, I don't. What would I need to do to join? Or am I exempt, or must I get to a point where I have a disability for me to be able to be part of that organization?
Indeed, you must. As a basic rule, for you to come into our database, you must have a disability.
Okay. So
Yes.
how does one support an entity such as yours without necessarily being part and parcel of that database?
Yes, we have partners. Now, if you want to come in as a partner, then you will come in as a partner, just like what we said, KCB Foundation is a partner, and all the other, Equity and the rest of, even individuals. By the way, let me tell you, there is a lady, and by coincidence, she happened to be a lady with disabilities. She was working in the UN, and she happened to come to Kenya. She was a Kenyan, and when she was on her last days, because she died, she was called McGowan. She died, and she left all her will to be taken to National Council to benefit persons with disabilities. And part of that will is what is now currently supporting 4 students with disabilities who are vetted. Normally, we pay for school fees using McGowan's funds. And yes, you can join us if you don't have a disability. And if you have a disability, you can join us as a beneficiary. And you can also join us as a partner, just like what McGowan did. And yes.
And Alex, as the city has brought up that conversation now, it is a question of people with disability and they are the demographic now. How do we improve engagement between the two sides, pretty much with everybody, so that both parties understand the nitty-gritties that come with people with disabilities, so that I see a parking area that is designated for a person with disabilities. I respect that. That when I'm putting up a building, I make sure that things like ramps that are there, lifts that are needed, is a conversation that is ongoing. That it is not only when the government rises up or when people with disabilities say we demand this that it happens, but it is inculcated into our nature and just who we are as a people. How do we improve that engagement?
That is a very difficult question. And as a sociologist, I want to believe that is very difficult. To inculcate a culture in people is not an easy walk in the park. Because I talked about people impersonating to be persons with disabilities. The same, you've given an example of people coming to see a parking reserved for persons with disabilities, and then you just drive your car and park there. And all these things would come after long-term engagements, like the engagements that we are having today, the engagement that Spice FM is supporting us to inform the public that indeed persons with disabilities are part and parcel of our society. We need now to respect them. We need to give them their space. We need to support them, not really demean them, not look down upon them, but we need to really give them their space. If it is a reserved parking, give it. If it is you construct a structure that has disability accessibility, The other day, God blessed me with some funds, and I constructed my own house. And out of that, in the whole village, I did some ramps to come to my house, and people could not believe. You mean you can do this to a private house?
Yeah.
Yes, I did it. Because I know disability is a club that anybody can join. I know my disability is albinism. You may not join it because it is genetic. But today, you are here with your full legs. Tomorrow, you could be on a wheelchair, like our executive director. He was a district officer, DO. But unfortunately, he was involved in an accident, and he lost the feelings of the hands and the legs. But we thank God because the hands came back, but the legs, because he had some spine injuries, the legs were not functional up to date. So anybody, the late Kibaki signed that bill when he was on a wheelchair. That was demonstrating that anybody can become a person with disability. Now, just a minute. My own father, when I was born, he was laughed at by a friend who they were drinking together. And I don't know, karma, maybe, because the same gentleman who was laughing at my father and saying, "Where your wife went sleeping with that father, that Catholic priest," and my father could not be given opportunity to drink with the rest of the old men. The same, I'm telling you a real experience on my personal issue. The same guy, Akapata, he got a child with albinism. Real.
Disability is a club that anyone
So,
can enter.
you may not have it, but your children or your grandchildren, you may find yourself into the same
So
situation.
pretty much 20 years of disability inclusion in Kenya. Where
Yes.
are we?
We have made very big strides. And just as I said, indeed, we want to thank the government that they have been able to embrace disability. But of course, this time round, we also want to say that conversations on issues of disability, like today, maybe he didn't know what to do when he has a disability. And today, we've told people that you need to present yourself to the Ministry of Health and all that. A lot of information needs to go out because people do not know this information. People do not know that National Council has a full program that is supporting education for children who are children with disabilities. They don't know. So we need to create conversations. Like we want to thank the standard group of companies, or what do you call yourself?
The standard group.
Yes, we want to thank them because several times during this 20 years anniversary of disability inclusion, they have offered us with opportunities to come and articulate our issues. And this is huge. We really want to laud this. And in any case, if there are Kenyans outside listening to Spice FM today, we would want to urge them to switch off the others because maybe the others are not embracing disability. And, for any standard of a developed media, or even any developed country, there is a saying that says, show me how they treat their vulnerable, I'll tell you their level of development.
Absolutely.
So you cannot claim to reach out to 2 million, 10 million Kenyans, yet you are looking down upon persons with disabilities. Shame on you. So standard, you are ahead of the ones who are bragging that they are reaching out to millions. Yes.
Well, you're looking at a situation whereby we keep saying that the true measure of a country is how the most vulnerable in that country at any particular time
are treated.
How they're included,
Sure.
how the young ones are included in school,
Sure.
how they access medical care, how they're included in the workforce.
Sure.
You know, and those are the things that we're looking at across board, and to continue to urge and appeal. And even as we go to that, just the last question, because we're rounding out to the end of this conversation. But when we talk about asking people to change their attitude, should we not be looking at unpacking what has been added on for years? Try to unpack that. And that's why conversations like this are important. And that's why the awareness is important. For you to be able to say, look, somebody living with disability is not condemned to death. This is somebody who can actually operate in society, and probably better than a full able-bodied individual. So can we not make more by keeping the conversations bubbling? I keep saying not back burner conversations, but front and center bubbling, full bubble conversations, that they should be happening every day. They should be happening in our space. And that is how you'll be able to drop some of these historic, traditional feelings.
Yes, and to extend that conversation, I think the basic thing would be to allocate more resources to the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. Currently, we are given only 50 million, as compared to one constituency gets around 120 million. So we are only given money equivalent to 2 constituencies, and we are expected to do programs across board, across the country. So we feel that we are underfunded in a way, because we cannot even sponsor such programs like this. We would want to pass information, but somehow our hands are tied, because if we had resources, we would sponsor like programs, like weekly programs on disability awareness and attitude change and all that. But we cannot. We just believe and trust that well-wishers are coming on board and assisting us. And there is nothing as bad as waiting for somebody just to come and help you without you saying, this is what I want.
A good note to end on, and I thank you for that. And that's why we need to keep these conversations alive.
Yes.
Alex Munyera is the Chief Disability Services Officer of the National Council of Persons with Disability. Thank you so much for being here this morning. And thank you, everybody, for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation this Tuesday. It's now 10 a.m. We meet again by God's grace tomorrow morning.
Wow.